There is a silence that lives beneath every sound you have ever heard, beneath the hum of traffic, beneath the murmur of conversation, beneath even the quiet beating of your own heart. There is a stillness so vast that if you touched it just once, you would never see the world the same way again. Tonight, I want to take you there. Not to a monastery on a distant mountain, not to a laboratory filled with equations, but to the place where both of those worlds meet, where the ancient wisdom of the Buddha and the discoveries of modern physics whisper the same extraordinary secret. Nothing you see is what it appears to be. Take a breath right now. Feel the air entering your lungs. Feel your chest rise. Feel the gentle release as you exhale. That breath you just took did not belong to you. It belonged to the wind before it reached your lips. It belonged to the trees that made the oxygen. It belonged to the rain that fed those trees and to the ocean that gave birth to that rain. You are not breathing. You are being breathed by the entire universe. To continue healing your body and soul through these ancient teachings, I invite you to join our path by subscribing to this sanctuary. Every time you return here, you step a little closer to the stillness that has always been waiting for you. Now, let us begin. Over 2,500 years ago, the Buddha sat beneath a fig tree in northern India and looked into the nature of reality with a clarity that most human beings will never know. What he saw was not a god. It was not a grand design. It was not nothingness either. What he saw was a web, an infinite, shimmering web of relationships, where nothing, not a single atom, not a single thought, not a single star exists on its own. He called this insight Sunyata. The word is often translated as emptiness, but that translation has confused people for centuries. It does not mean that nothing exists. It means that nothing exists independently. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you are, is made entirely of things that are not itself. Hold your hand in front of you right now. Look at it. That hand contains iron forged in the heart of a dying star, billions of years ago. It contains water that has cycled through clouds and rivers and oceans for longer than any civilization has stood. It contains the food your mother ate while you were still inside her. It contains sunlight, captured by plants, transformed into energy, and woven into your cells. Your hand is not just your hand, or it is a brief gathering of the entire cosmos, shaped into fingers and skin for a little while before it all returns to where it came from. This is what the Buddha meant by emptiness, not a void, not absence, but the radical truth that everything is made of everything else. In the Pali texts, this principle is expressed with breathtaking simplicity. When this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. With the cessation of this, that ceases. This is pratitya samutpatti, dependent origination. It is the spine of Buddhist philosophy. It tells us that nothing in this universe has ever stood alone. Not a raindrop, not a galaxy, not a single fleeting thought in your mind. Now, here is where the story becomes extraordinary. In the early 20th century, physicists began smashing atoms apart, expecting to find tiny solid particles at the center of matter. What they found instead shook the foundations of everything Western science believed. There was nothing solid there. At the subatomic level, what we call matter is not made of things. It is made of relationships. Particles do not sit in fixed locations waiting to be observed. They exist as probability waves, clouds of potential, until the moment they interact with something else. Only then do they take on a definite form. Werner Heisenberg, one of the founders of quantum mechanics, said that atoms are not things. They are tendencies. The world is not made of stuff. It is made of events, of processes, of connections. Feel that for a moment. Let that settle into your body. The chair beneath you feels solid. The ground feels firm. Your body feels real and separate. But at the deepest level of reality, none of that solidity exists. What you are sitting on is an intricate dance of energy, a vibration held in place by forces and fields, not by substance. This is precisely what the great Buddhist philosopher Nagarjuna taught in the 2nd century. He wrote that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence. Not empty of existence itself, but empty of independent, self-contained being. Nothing possesses its own nature apart from the web of conditions that gives rise to it. Nagarjuna did not have a particle accelerator. He had meditation, and yet he arrived at the same conclusion that quantum physicists reached 2,000 years later. Reality is relational. Nothing is self-made. Everything depends on everything else. Let your shoulders soften right now. Let the muscles around your jaw release. You do not need to hold yourself together. The universe is already holding you. There is a field that physicists call the quantum vacuum. Despite its name, it is not empty. It is the most full thing in existence. It seethes with energy, with particles flickering in and out of being millions of times per second. From this field, everything arises. Every atom in your body, every photon of light that touches your eyes, every sound wave that reaches your ears, all of it emerges from this invisible, vibrating ground of being. The physicist John Wheeler once described it this way: there is no such thing as empty space. Space is filled with the most violent physics we know. And yet, when you sit in silence, when the mind finally quiets, what do you feel? You feel a fullness, a presence, a hum beneath the surface of things that has no name, but is undeniably alive. The Buddha called this the unconditioned, not a God, not a force, simply that which is, before the mind begins to divide and label and separate. Think of the ocean. On the surface there are waves. Some are tall, some are small. Some crash and some ripple gently. Each wave appears to be separate, individual, distinct. But no wave has ever been separate from the ocean. The wave is the ocean, expressing itself temporarily in one particular form. When the wave subsides, the water does not disappear. It simply returns to the hole from which it never actually left. You are that wave. Your name, your personality, your history, your body. These are the shape of the wave. But what you are made of, the awareness, the energy, the interconnected fabric of existence, that is the ocean. And it was never born. And it will never die. This is not poetry. This is physics dressed in metaphor. When physicists study entanglement, they discover something that Einstein himself called spooky action at a distance. Two particles, once connected, remain connected regardless of how far apart they are. Change the state of one, and the other responds instantly, even if it is on the other side of the universe. There is no signal traveling between them. There is no delay. They simply know. How is this possible? Because at the deepest level, they were never truly separate. Separation is an illusion that only exists at the scale of our everyday perception. Beneath that, everything is one continuous field. The Buddhist master Thich Nhat Hanh had a beautiful phrase for this. He called it interbeing. He said, "If you are a poet, you will see clearly that there is a cloud floating in this sheet of paper. Without a cloud, there will be no rain. Without rain, the trees cannot grow. And without trees, we cannot make paper. The paper and the cloud are. They cannot exist independently. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight of your body wherever you are sitting or lying. Feel the surface beneath you, supporting you. Now consider this. The atoms in your body are not touching the atoms of that surface. They are repelling each other through electromagnetic force. You are, in a very real sense, floating right now, suspended by invisible fields of energy, held aloft by the same quantum interactions that hold stars together. You have never truly touched anything in your entire life. And yet, you have never been separate from anything either. This is the paradox of Sunyata. This is the paradox of quantum physics. Things appear separate, but are not. Things appear solid, but are not. Things appear permanent, but are not. And rather than being a cause for despair, this is the most liberating truth you will ever encounter. Because if nothing is fixed, then nothing is hopeless. If nothing is permanent, then no pain lasts forever. If nothing exists independently, then you are never, ever alone. The suffering that grips the human heart, the anxiety, the loneliness, the feeling that something is missing, almost all of it comes from one single misunderstanding. The belief that you are separate from others, separate from nature, separate from the universe itself. But you are not separate. You never were. The boundary between your skin and the air is an idea, not a wall. The boundary between your mind and the world is a habit of perception, not a fact of nature. When the Buddha said that all phenomena are empty, he was offering you the key to a prison you did not know you were in. Let your hands rest open on your lap now. Feel the air against your palms. That air has been inside the lungs of every person who has ever lived. It has traveled across oceans. It has passed through forests. It carries the breath of those who loved you and those who will never know your name. You are inhaling the world, and the world is inhaling you. There is a Zen teaching that says, before enlightenment, mountains are mountains and rivers are rivers. During enlightenment, mountains are no longer mountains and rivers are no longer rivers. After enlightenment, mountains are once again mountains and rivers are once again rivers. This is the journey of Sunyata. First, you see the world as solid, as separate, as fixed. Then you see through it. You realize that nothing is what it seemed, that everything is empty of independent existence. And this is where the real beauty lives. You return to the world of form, but now you see it with new eyes. The mountain is still a mountain, but now you know it is also the rain and the riverbed and the ancient seafloor and the heat of the earth's core. It is everything, wearing the shape of a mountain for a while. And you, sitting here, listening to these words, you are everything, wearing the shape of a human being for a while. This is not a belief to adopt. This is a reality to experience. And the doorway is as close as your next breath. So breathe. Feel the rise. Feel the fall. Feel how effortlessly the universe moves through you. You do not need to understand quantum equations to know this truth. You do not need to read ancient sutras in their original language. You only need to sit still long enough for the noise to fade, and then listen to what has always been there. The silence beneath every sound, the space within every atom, the connection beneath every separation. That is Sunyata. That is the quantum field. That is what you are. And it has been waiting for you to notice, patiently, since before you were born. Rest here for a moment. There is nowhere else you need to be. The wave does not need to search for the ocean. It only needs to stop pretending it is separate. And when it does, it discovers something that cannot be put into words, but can be felt in every cell, in every breath, in every quiet moment when the mind finally lets go. You are not a small thing in a large universe. You are the universe, looking at itself through one pair of eyes, for one brief and precious moment. Let that be enough. Let that be everything, because it is.